This is a relay project.
Real Talk starts right now. Here's Ryan Jesperson.
It is December 21st. It is the shortest day of the year and maybe the best roundtable that we're going to do all year as well. It also happens to be my parents' wedding anniversary, and I know that they're going to hear this episode. So, Bruce and Catherine, we love you. We admire you. Happy anniversary. Back in 1974, they tied the knot. Freshly graduated teacher, a French teacher, and a family physician, starting life together.
That's pretty awesome.
In December of 1974.
Hey,
this is going to be hi,
is our
Johnny
last
Infamous.
show.
Our last episode of 2023. We're going to be hanging
Happy
out
New
with our
Year.
Real Talk patrons tomorrow on kind of a private Zoom party that we do for them. But yeah, this is the last show that we'll get together until the new year. And today's going to be a lot of fun. We're bringing back the group chat roundtable, which everybody knows and loves. These are members of an actual real group chat. We don't talk about, well, for the most part, specific comments made in that group chat, but we are going to put these three on the spot. We're going to get their top news stories of the year. We'll talk a little bit of Alberta politics, of course. We'll take a look at international newsmakers as well, all in the next hour, and we're grateful to have you here with us. This episode wouldn't be happening without the support of Business Career College, and this is an important and timely message. This time of year, a lot of people are going to be looking to start fresh in 2024, embark on a new adventure. If you're looking for a rewarding and high-paying career, but you've always got that one but, and your but is that I don't have a university degree, you can get started as an insurance professional with Business Career College. You know, in Canada, insurance agents, a lot of them in a very short time are making just under $100,000 a year. All you need to do is take an approved course, pass your licensing exam, and Business Career College offers industry-leading approved courses in life insurance, property and casualty insurance. Plus, they've got expert instructors passionate about helping you launch your new career. Right now, great time of year to do it because Real Talkers can save 15% off any insurance course with the code REALTALK. That's all one word, REALTALK. Get started today at businesscareercollege.com. As we welcome back to the show the founder and president of the Adams Agency, Jenny Adams, the CEO of the YWCA of Edmonton, former Globe and Mail journalist Katherine O'Neill, and Edmonton City Councillor Sarah Hamilton, who's been on the show many times, but we're just realizing right this minute you've never been on before in the context of your participation in our group chat.
No, I haven't. So I'm glad to be here not representing any opinions or city council.
Oh yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Exactly.
We'll see how long that lasts. And in part because we've got a big plan for you, Councillor. We're gonna get the bottles going up here on this on this morning.
Where did you get that big bottle?
You know what? I got this Magnum of Sumaroka, which is supposed to be this fabulous fruit, this cava from, and this is a free one. This mention is on the house from Vine Arts. They've just moved into Edmonton on 124th Street.
It's a massive bottle.
We're
not leaving till it's done.
Well, I just figured that we wouldn't be we would cash a bottle, like a regular bottle, pretty quickly, the four of us, and we'll probably make sure
we just don't want to get up.
Infamous gets one too. So, Councillor, if you'd like, there's some fresh squeezed orange juice there if you want to turn that into a mimosa.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and KO, I want to give you a shout out. Thank you very much. On the very first day of Real Talk ever, two of you showed up with gifts. Jenny showed up with a bottle of bubbly. You may remember we cracked it as soon as we turned our mics off. And KO, you showed up with this stunningly beautiful ice bucket, which is now being put to good use. It sort of feels like we've come full circle.
Plum. I think it's a local shop, so Plum.
It is. And
so
the owner of Plum, Jenna Pryor, her son and my son go to school together. Isn't that cool? What a small world. Yeah, that is very Edmonton. There you are. And
did they have a Christmas
concert? Happy
concert?
holiday season to you. Yeah, they did a fabulous Christmas concert
amazing.
just last night. It was so wonderful to see all of the kids getting into it. They split it by grades, obviously. Okay. So you get like the cute little grade oneers doing their thing. But then once you get up to like grade 4, 5, 6, now these personalities are starting to come out.
Those of you watching had to see Ryan's side eye that he gave to me and that's the epitome of the Actually Assholes group chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the name. That is what the group chat has come to be named because we sometimes are lifting one another up. and encouraging one another. And every once in a while, we are holding each other to account. We're holding each other's feet to the fire, right? And sometimes that involves a little bit of tough love.
Careful.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Well, it's
Don't spill on your computer.
I know.
Johnny, we already destroyed one MacBook this year on the show. So
it's
I'll
the end
try
of the
to
fiscal
refrain
year.
from-
We'll just buy all this stuff.
Yeah. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Right?
Johnny,
That's
do you have a
what
glass?
That's what our account
Yeah,
said.
throw
Yeah,
me
you
one.
got a flute
I
right
got one
there.
right
so
here.
Jenny can bring
Big
that
shout
over.
out to Joseph Brown, $10
What?
super
Already?
chat already. Yeah.
Joseph's.
Happy New Year, Joe.
If only Joseph was anywhere near, I'd be happy to pour Joseph a flute. We sure appreciate that. The super chat has kind of become
Thank you,
this new
Jenny.
thing for us, and it's as our YouTube presence has grown. This is just like a thing I'll mention quickly, but YouTube for us, this has been a big year intentionally on YouTube to grow our footprint there, and our subscribers are up about 40% in one year, which we really appreciate. The engagement's up a ton on people that live tune into the show, and then some of you stepping up on this super chat and just $5-10. I think somebody shot us $25 the other day, which just meant a whole lot to us. And it's I guess it's just a way for people to feel it's a way to support a show that you find is resonating with you, and that sure means a lot to us when people do it. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
To wrapping up 2023. Johnny, love you. Show wouldn't happen without you, pal. Sure
Yeah.
appreciate you. We'll talk about just kind of the time of year. This is going to be sort of a hybrid vibe on the show. It'll be like a little bit holiday, like sort of a Christmassy vibe, Hanukkah vibe, whatever you're celebrating. But also, we're not doing another show before New Year's Eve. So, right around December 31st, people will start looking back at the year that was, start looking ahead, at the year to come. When it comes to like top news story of the year, we'll talk Alberta politics in a bit. We'll talk some federal politics in a bit, but like the top story that captivated you, grabbed your attention through the year, Sarah, what was it?
This is downer. Or I shouldn't say downer. This is very serious. It's the Israel-Hamas conflict and the war in Gaza right now. I remember when the attacks on October 7th happened, and I don't read the news on the weekend. It was a weekend, and one of my staff members flagged it and was like, "This feels different. This feels different than your usual." Middle East conflict, and that's what we have on our hands right now. We have the first, I think, war in the Middle East in Israel, with Israel, I should say, since the Yom Kippur War, which was 40 years ago. And I think it, if I compare it to the war in Ukraine, that conflict escalated slowly. We could kind of see it happening, but this happened so quickly, and it's so complex, and the impacts globally. You're seeing people have to have an opinion on something that is incredibly nuanced, and it's dividing communities, not just in the Middle East, but around the world. In Edmonton, we see it. So that to me is enormous, and I think it'll have ramifications for years to come.
Yeah, to say the very least.
Oh, yeah.
You've, Katherine, in your career as a journalist, you covered wars. You were over in Afghanistan. I mean, you've been on the front line of conflict firsthand, telling those stories so Canadians could hear about them in the Globe and Mail. And then, of course, now in your role at the YWCA, a huge part of the offerings of that that organization, more than 100 years old, is helping settle refugees, offering services to people that need mental health supports. I would imagine you see something like this conflict through a number of different lenses.
Totally, 100%. And being in war changes you forever. And I think the first casualty of any war is truth. And so it's really hard to ever get information coming out of a war, even as a reporter, was really hard. And I think what's really interesting about this war is, it's on TikTok and social media, and all of these people are getting their news from places that are not reputable. It is not news. And it's frightening me because people have hard line opinions on things, and they really are truly misinformed. So this war to me is quite different in the perspective that the news that people are getting to tell their story themselves, what's truly happening, isn't correct, or they're just getting the news that they want to hear. So as a former journalist, you're watching this through that lens, thinking, where does this end? Yeah. And it really has created such division in a way that what's the road back?
How about the fact? Sorry to step on your toes, Jenny, but like even you as a war correspondent, a former war correspondent, the fact that we know at least 64 journalists have been killed in Gaza. Like, take a second, everybody listening to this, to think 64. I don't know why. Sometimes I think in the term of classrooms, like 2 or 3 classrooms.
Yes.
Full of graduated and experienced journalists. Killed in conflict.
I think in Afghanistan we only lost 1 Canadian journalist.
Was that Michelle?
Yeah, that was Michelle Lang. So, so in that short amount of time to lose that many journalists, war is just. And we don't pay folks enough, and a lot of these outlets are not sending folks into war with the right equipment, the right security, things like that. So I think we'll see more death toll. And that, again, it's hard to watch, and you really wonder where this all goes.
And I have been watching it from that misinformation lens. I do think that, especially in my job that I have, and we teach this, that misinformation is one of the biggest problems that we have right now. So
Can you explain to people what your job is?
Oh, sorry. I run a communications firm, a PR firm. And so we work with the media and conversations and help shape public perception, basically.
Yeah.
So, watching, for example, when the hospital was bombed and immediately everyone around the world said the Israelis bombed the hospital, right? Even Trudeau tweeted that. And immediately within an hour or two, they retracted it, but it was already too late.
Yeah.
The second that information goes out there, and that was I feel like at the beginning, a turning point for the public perception of now, like, well, what are the Israelis doing, right? And so you even take a look at that with Zelensky and the war, when the Liberals invited the Nazi into the House of Commons. Yeah. And
that
again,
was
that was
I kind of forgot about that one, to be honest.
But when you think about the propaganda that has now been created that we don't know out of that visit, that Canadians are supporting, and that really goes to take the Russians, the reason why they're bombing the Ukrainians, and you can't take that back. Catherine, you taught us when you're explaining, you're losing. So the second that piece of misinformation goes out, and your algorithms are showing you the same stuff over and over and over again, and people are sharing it, like, that is gone, and that has massive impact. And we see that all over the place in all sorts of communities. But combating misinformation, I think, is one of society's biggest problems that we have right now. And you use it to your advantage. You're competing in an attention economy, and Zelensky does a really good job at keeping our attention, using social media, et cetera, in his war that he's fighting. But it can go absolutely the other way, which we see.
I'm going off the top of my head here, so I'm probably going to miss some major storylines, but I'd be curious for your take on the type of year that it's been, not just for the Prime Minister, but for his party and for Canada's reputation. There's been some big black eyes, like that the former Nazi recognized with MPs. By the way, Liberal and Conservative MPs rising to applaud this guy. Everybody fucked up on that one, let's be honest. Most notably the Liberals that invited him, but there were a lot of people that, hey, listen, if I was in there, I would have stood and applauded because I had no idea.
Because you had no idea.
Nobody had any idea.
But that's the point. The Speaker of the House
should have vetted it.
It should have vetted it. It should have been vetted.
You trust that institution to get things right.
Yeah.
But we have to remember as well, too, that the House of Commons it belongs to the MPs. And so I actually asked some bureaucrats, like really high up, I said, did you guys not vet this guy? He's like, oh, if for a second we would have ever said, let us vet your guests in the House of Commons, like, that is absolutely up to them, the elected officials. So it is on them. But I would have absolutely stood up thinking the Speaker of the House invited this person, I'm going to clap for them.
So you've had that. You've had the Prime Minister's, as much as we don't drag people's personal lives into things, it is a thing when a world leader's marriage breaks apart. So you had that. You had the Liberals basically nailing their own feet to the floor on the carbon tax and the controversy in Atlantic Canada and like losing big time points. Not even to mention, the huge surge that you've seen on the Conservative side, but it's been a really tough year
we have
for the
India,
Prime Minister.
and obviously Trudeau did the right thing there, right?
He did do the right thing.
He did the right thing, but then, the Chinese, I'm like, I don't even want to go into how the relationship with us and China is and what we're doing there. Like, it's actually really scary. And then we're not included. We're not included with Five Eyes. We're not included in why would we be, right? But I think, obviously I slant conservative, but the Conservatives have a real opportunity here because Trudeau Trudeau will leave. They'll get rid of Trudeau. But I still think
I don't know.
I don't.
What?
I don't know.
I think he's going to fight it
Talk
out.
to anybody. I'm talking to people that like work in that government that say he's not going anywhere. anywhere. He wants to fight Poilievre in the next election.
Which
well, I mean,
is
black tight
wild.
T-shirt to black tight T-shirt. Let's see. Let's see how it's gonna go. like,
So I worked on Team Trudeau in 2015 leading up to the election. And I think and I use that to qualify that after the election in 2015, you saw a really sophisticated communications approach. And I think this year you have not seen a sophisticated communications approach, which in government usually means that it's stale. Like your talent is leaving. People aren't like there isn't an integrated plan to talk about what policies the government's moving forward, and that's usually a sign that it's time to go. And like which pains me a little to say because I think that there's some challenges with
his
the
last term. His talent left his office was just kind of like this really reminds me of that. Like it seems like no one's in charge.
You know what we haven't mentioned actually, besides inflation, the housing crisis. Like that is a massive thing that the Liberals, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why we're in this housing crisis, but the Conservatives, I have to say, when it comes to communications, are finally getting their shit together.
They're
like that housing
tight.
video that Pierre did, I watched every second of the 15 minutes and it was good information and I understood it and it has a cool brand and you can see where it's going. And it's resonating, I think, not just with, Albertans, but people all over the country.
Well, they're grabbing the middle class narrative. And if you go back to 2015, that was the Liberal plan. It was to make life better for the middle class. And somewhere in the last 8 years, we've lost that thread, and the Conservatives have picked that up, and they've not just picked it up from the Liberals, they've also picked it up from the NDP. Like they're owning the narrative on affordability and the quote unquote Canadian
and
dream.
young voters too.
Yeah,
like,
that's
wow.
Which is not the way it's supposed to go. Like if you take a look at trends.
Well, and you have to think like historically, Conservatives, I'm sorry, horrible communications. Like I was on Peter MacKay's campaign team. I did not do the comms. Okay, I did not.
Everybody's admitting to a lot of weird things.
Awful. I know we are. I had one sip of
roundtable. I know.
One sip of prosecco.
Why
and
do you
here
think
we
I
go.
served you booze before the
Exactly.
brunch? Yeah.
But Conservatives, like their communications, and I know we've audited some of them. Like usually it's all about how we hate Trudeau and red, and it's just like you can't connect with any of it. And finally, they're getting their stuff together. I know in the last election we redid one of the, the incoming MPs. We did their branding for them. We went away from the Conservative branding in an election. It looked great.
Who was it?
Just have to say, Generu.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
looked
knew.
really
I
great.
just wanted you to say it.
Well, thanks. But anyway, they're
Hey,
finally.
can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
I don't have the stuff in front of me, but it was interesting. Take us into the science of branding and messaging and marketing, because even Matt Generu, for people who don't know him, he's an established, well-respected former provincial politician, now federal politician. Very good with people. Very. What's the this? I mean this as a compliment. Sane.
Yes,
right?
yes,
like
in the Conservative Party,
right? Like he's a very marketable. He's quite good looking. All the things he's got all the things going for him. But I noticed last election his branding. It was like even the hue of
you noticed
even the hue of blue. The hue of blue
We changed it.
is a little off from where the party's blue is.
Oh, we totally changed it.
So that was on purpose,
That was
obviously?
purposely, because you're actually, when you're in an election and you're running for a party, you cannot alter the creative.
No
they
way.
give it to you. You cannot change it. And I don't want to speak for Matt as to why he necessarily did, but he wanted to. The thing about Matt that I love and always have loved is he's more of a progressive conservative. I think he'd be okay. He supports, women and LGBTQ and blah, 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 schools. And, he's done a really great job in his career. And so he just wanted to resonate and have it be more him. And I've never worked on a campaign actually, except for Peter MacKay's, but that was a disaster, where like he had 30 volunteers every time we went out. Like people really connected to that very modern progressive branding that he had, and just who it represented him as a candidate. And that's what I think he really wanted in the election.
Yeah. KO, your top news story of the year. Like I'm talking worldwide.
Well, I'll bring it home to Canada, but it is worldwide, where it's inflation and the rise of the cost of living. I think it's had massive political implications and social implications. As a CEO of a social service agency, we see it on the front lines where folks are really struggling right now. We've just come out of the crisis of COVID, and there's been no reprieve. People can't afford their homes, they can't afford their cars, they can't send their kids to sports, things like that. We see houselessness in a level that we've never seen. Society is really struggling right now, and on the political side, I think that's where Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have come right in, saw an opportunity, and have really grabbed that conversation. And that's why I think they're connecting with the electorate is in the way they are. We'll see how it goes. There's still a lot of time before the next election. But it's really frightening, the things we are seeing, like the rising levels of gender-based violence in our community, domestic violence. I know at the city level, councillors are hearing lots of stories, and I don't think we've hit I don't think we've quite hit the crest of what this is, and that really makes me concerned heading into 2024, because people are really tired right now, really, really tired coming out of COVID, now with this inflation, cost of living, and I don't see people. It's too much.
You know what's kind of weird though is that it's not that inflation or cost of living is not an issue, not that affordability is not an issue, because it is. Canadians are telling pollsters that it's the number one issue, but spending is not down at all. And I know that a lot of people can't afford to get into housing, and a lot of people are finding their rent payments like very difficult. And there are some people that will hear this and will say, "Fuck you!" Like we haven't been, we've been choosing between, milk for the kids and like whether we're going to pay our hydro bill. I get that, but that some people can really spend right now, but the people who cannot really cannot, and they are really on the edge of being homeless. 100%.
So that's where it's just a really different type of struggle for folks. And yeah, we are post-COVID. It's the roaring 20s. It's really reminiscent. I mean, we're seeing people spend like crazy on luxury items, things like that. But for the folks who can't, and the way inflation, food insecurity, the food bank has just seen demand rise all across the country. For those folks, this has been one of the hardest years of their life.
Jenny, your top news story of the year.
Well, I'm sorry, but I have to say it's the same thing. Like it's housing, it's inflation, it's all over the work that we're doing as an organization. And also I'm taking a look at how we're approaching it. What are we doing with international students? How are we going to combat things? Those things are really top of mind for me. But I'm with Catherine. Like, I just don't know how people who are on a fixed income, like, just have a job.
Seniors.
Like, I know my mother-in-law, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying, the CEBA loans are all coming up. Well, she has a little driving Miss Daisy business that went out of business during the pandemic, and now she owes $40,000 or $60,000 in a couple of weeks, and her mortgage rate is going up the year after that. And she's like, I actually have to sell my condo in order to pay for this. The CEBA loan actually is a big deal because it's tied to you personally as well too. So she can't go bankrupt.
What? Wait, what?
Yes. She can't go bankrupt. It's tied to her personally. And if she doesn't pay it, then her son has to pay it. So she literally is going to sell her condo to pay this $40,000 bill.
And when does it come due? Is it January?
It's
January 18th.
He
gave us 18 more
days. We did a show on it just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Corey Wozniak was talking about that from Managing Director at Avison Young was talking about that. Although I will say this is new information, maybe not to you, but you're bringing new information to this table because I've spoken to some people, restaurateurs in particular, that are under the impression, like as far as I'm concerned, up to this minute, that they can fold up shop, close the doors, and that 40,000 goes away. Wow.
And Shirley was a banker, so she looked into this. It's tied to you personally, and if she doesn't pay it, then Sheldon has to pay it, or we have to pay it, whatever happens to be.
The government's going to get their money. Like this,
they're going to get their money.
Well, they better. It's a $50 billion
totally.
program.
And that's the other. Wow. The spending that has happened, wow.
It's mind-numbing.
Mind-numbing.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, and then here, people will say, well, look at under Justin Trudeau, Canada's debt has done this, and it's out of control, and it's bonkers. And Pierre Poilievre, I guess in a way, to his credit, with asterisks there, has said, like, he wouldn't have done the same thing. But if you rewind the clock 3 years or 3.5 years, and you look at how people were panicking as the pandemic was coming down, and you were looking at what would have been a tidal wave of insolvencies and unemployment, and then what do you do? It's easy as an opposition politician to say, I wouldn't have done it, but you may be surprised at what your advisors would have told you had to do.
The pain's going to be felt somewhere. We delayed
for
this.
Sure.
And wow, so early January,
they delayed it 18 days for people.
So we forget that the pandemic was actually declared over like just this year. So like we all just kind of
to an endemic.
The end, like the WHO declared the end of the pandemic in 2023.
Wow, big year.
And so it seems so long ago when we talk about all these programs, but it it's just done.
It was
And
May the 4th,
Yeah.
Sarah, that they downgraded
I
it.
like that you fact checked me.
Yeah, I think you could give businesses just another year. Like,
But-
don't change it. Just
Yeah.
give them another
Yeah.
year to get their feet under them. Like,
Because you even look at right now where interest rates are at, and
Yes.
businesses that are going to try to finance the
Yes.
40,000 right now at 8 points, like it's not going to. It's a difficult position for everybody.
There's going to be an extension. There's no way, from
You
what we're
would-
hearing on that, like, there's no way that if they do this, that is political suicide.
Well,
for
okay, oh yeah,
us.
like you're implying, the optics of the feds forcing people into insolvency is.
And like selling their houses.
Yeah.
That's not a
You're
great
just setting
narrative.
Pierre Poilievre
Yeah.
up for like a complete landslide if you do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did have some feedback, by the way, on the live chat. Some Tara Lynn particularly loved the black T-shirt comment. She sent us the crying, laughing ones. Who did I see this
we'll
from?
all
I
be
saw-
crying, laughing soon.
Yeah, I saw this. I think it was Marie. Somebody said Justin Trudeau will not go away and he will win again.
Wow, that's
somebody
bold.
else. Who was it? Somebody else. I apologize. There's a lot going on in the chat, but somebody else said like Trudeau's time has come, but Poilievre scares the hell out of me, so I don't know what to think. That was kind of a recurring comment in there. So, and then I saw somebody else. I wanted to recognize the comment. Somebody said to me, I noticed nobody has mentioned Pierre Poilievre's leadership win as a top story. Believe it or not, that was 2022. That was either September, October of 22 that he won in the fall. So he's been in that role coming up on a year and a half. More with our group chat roundtable. Sarah Hamilton, Katherine O'Neill, and Jenny Adams in just a second. This episode of Real Talk is happening with the support of our friends at California Closets. I'm going to bail out at least one Real Talker right now that still has no plan for Christmas. They have no plan for a gift for their loved one, for their soulmate. How about a consultation with the team at California Closets? Help out you and your entire household with those recurring issues. Towels piled up on the floor. You can't find your favorite dress, shoes. Don't even get started on the garage. The place desperately needs organization, a custom storage solution. That's exactly what they do. You should see what they're doing with garages. Oh my gosh. Check out CaliforniaClosets.ca. You can browse some of the work that their team has done, and you get in touch with them, get that consultation started. At Friesen Brothers, they know that a lot of you are going to prioritize top number one, quality time with your family and friends over the holidays. You don't want to be sitting there in the kitchen, basting the turkey, mashing the potatoes while everybody else is having laughs. Why not pick up a Ukrainian-inspired Christmas dinner box prepared by their team of Red Seal chefs? These Ukrainian-inspired Christmas dinner boxes come with everything you'd expect. They've got the turkey and the ham and the pierogies, and they've got these dill-soaked carrots. Oh, my gosh. Creamy dill carrots are going to blow your mind. Each dinner box serves 4 people, so if you have 40 coming over, you just order 10 of them. You can get them online at cateringbyfriesen.com or visit them in store. You are up against the clock, and they will sell out, so make sure you visit a Friesen Brothers today. If 2024, and this is maybe to the younger members of our audience, or those of you in your 20s, 30s, still looking to kickstart a career opportunity, you've got that motivation. You know you have what it takes. You just need somebody to help you tap into it. Nate's J.R. Shaw School of Business is your answer. They're one of Canada's leading polytechnic business educators. They're specialists in harnessing inner talent, building skills, and feeding curiosity. Your future will be brighter because of Nate's immersive style of learning and deep relationships with industry. Get down to business today with Nate's J.R. Shaw School of Business at nate.ca/business. Now, you've already got your certification. You've already got your ticket. You're an electrician, or maybe you have a BCom. You're a sales professional. You've been working in industry as a project manager for a while, but you're feeling stagnant in your job. Why not start fresh and help move forward Canada's green energy movement at Kubi Energy? They're hiring right now via the careers link at kubienergy.ca for roles in Calgary, Edmonton, Kamloops, Lethbridge, and beyond. They're looking for installers, technologists, professional engineers, administrative professionals. They're hiring across the board as Canada's fastest growing team when it comes to the green movement. Nobody installs more solar panels in Alberta than Kubi Energy. You'll find them online at kubienergy.ca.
I'll have to apply.
That's not funny, John.
Well, those roofs, they look nice if you know, in the open air all day.
I talk to these guys. You talk to them often. So they'll come in here. They'll have the odd.
They love their
pop
job.
with us. They love their
Absolutely
jobs.
love it.
And you know what they'll do? They'll like say, take a look at this video, and then they show us the video. They go, look at how clean these installed. They take great pride in the detail of their install. That's kind of something that you have in common with them.
And something you appreciate. We talked earlier this week about the TV being
a little bit crooked.
Inch off. When we were in here and having to call people
perfectionist. A bit of it bothers you too?
CD.
Yeah.
Ryan, pass me your glass.
You know what? For me, the thing for me is like, and no offense, I'm not meaning to offend anybody, but when you go in someone's house and they've got the TV mounted on the wall, but they just have the black cord just hanging down, I'm like, man, you can't do that. It's just, I can't concentrate. I can't watch the movie. I can't watch the hockey game if there's a black cord just hanging down there. I obsess over it. Thanks for the top up, Counselor. Appreciate it. Though not here in her role as an Edmonton City Councilor. This is just This is just Sarah from the block.
Sarah from the block.
This is just Sarah from the block.
I was just taking a picture of Catherine just taking a picture of herself. So I'm going to challenge us all to how many selfies are in your phone?
How many selfies?
I actually haven't looked, and I feel like I'm setting myself up.
You go to photos and then you go to selfies, right?
No, that's
936.
Out of how many pictures do you have total?
I have 25,000, so that's pretty
okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's actually quite modest.
I don't think I'm going to read mine.
Catherine,
I
can't wait to hear Johnny's.
This can't be real.
Johnny, first of all, how many? So you're on an iPhone, right? So you go to photos.
Okay, what was yours?
Okay, so I haven't said mine yet. So I have a total of 30,892 photos. No, photos, not selfies. Not selfies. 30,892 photos, and of those, 1,240 are selfies. But a lot of and because people listen to this, you've listened to this point. You're listening at the end of the year. I'll give Real Talkers a little Easter egg, a little treat here. Most of my selfies are shot and sent at 4:20 in the afternoon to friends of mine. If you know, you know. So there's a certain theme to the selfies on my phone that some people will find funny and other people won't understand.
I think I know what you're.
No, I'm going last. I asked the question. I'm going last.
I have 12,000 photos on my phone and only 802 selfies.
Okay,
wow.
I
Very
seriously
modest, very
regret.
Hang on, you're about to get burned, Jenny. Johnny, how many do you have?
Okay, wait. What was the total? What was Jenny's?
I
she
haven't. I'm
hasn't
going
said
last
yet.
because it's
No,
my question.
I want to hear Jenny's
No.
first.
She asked the
No,
question.
my question.
Fair enough. How many total photos do you have first?
I've got a little over 30,000.
Okay, and how many
Probably
selfies?
the same as you. I can't see all of them, but my main folder has 29,277.
So
How many selfies?
Selfies? I don't want to say this.
Just say it.
now.
Say it.
Oh, my wife is going to kill me. 1,112.
That's not bad. What are you so worried about?
He wins.
It's less than me.
Jenny's
Okay,
about to
so
win.
I am
Jenny's
like
got
really
5,000.
sweating. So here's the thing.
I'm an
I am
influencer.
very- No.
You're explaining you're losing.
I know. But I'm very good at taking selfies, and I am always, you have to admit it,
Oh, wow.
I am always the
She
selfie
is.
arm
She
because
is.
I know how to take it.
She is a selfie.
Okay.
And you did just take like 90
Exactly.
photos of us.
And I'm also in PR.
So
So,
what's
I
the
don't
number?
take
Writing
one
right now.
picture.
What's
I
the
take like
number?
100.
Yeah,
Yes.
what's the
Okay,
number?
so how many? What's the fucking number?
Give us the
I
number,
have
Jenny.
57,000 photos.
Oh, I thought it was selfies.
No. I have 10,000 selfies.
Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
Jenny Adams. I love this from. This is the first time I've ever seen the name Ironwood Workman in the live chat. Ironwood Workman, who must be brand new, says, "Do they talk about anything, or is this what it is all the time?" No,
We're just taking a break from the serious
We were talking
stuff.
about Israel and Hamas
Yeah,
5 minutes ago.
It's hard swerves.
Yeah,
housing
hard swerves.
crisis.
The housing crisis. Anyway, in all seriousness, Ironwood Workman, and to everybody else, all these fresh and new names that we've been seeing in our chat over the last 6 months, welcome, and we're really happy that you're here. KO, the top, obviously, a big part of our audience is in the province of Alberta. A big amount of what we talk about is Alberta politics. We're going to talk about Trump later. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I know that you
I'm
want to.
chomping at the bit for
but
Trump.
what was your top Alberta political story of the year?
Yeah.
Your face looks like you don't even want to talk about this.
No, I do because I think it's so amazing. It's incredible the comeback of Danielle Smith. That May election, there was an election this year, if you
Yeah.
remember. That's
Oh, right.
another story where
We
it's
mentioned
like,
it 40 minutes in.
yeah, a provincial election. It was not a certain thing that they were going to win again. It was a really hotly contested election. The Conservatives have been struggling with the leadership issues, et cetera, et cetera. 9 years ago is when the floor crossing happened this month. So a lot has happened in our province, and the fact she came back won that election and has a pretty solid caucus right now. You don't hear the grumblings like you did under Kenny. I think she's a political comeback kid, and we saw that it happened over many months, so it's not like everyone's thinking about, oh, that's the biggest story. But for me, for her to win that election the way she did and just head it right into leadership, that's a huge story, and it speaks a lot about her political leadership to do what she did.
Yeah, and again, I say, and like you just said this, but I want to reiterate: number one, to win the Conservative leadership. Where I think Travis Taves had like the lion's share of the sort of, what do you want to call it, like the establishment endorsements, right? Travis Taves would have been Kenny's choice for leader.
Everybody says this is easy. Politics is not easy, and what she did, even though there's a lot of not great things happening, the Take Back Alberta folks, all the things that are happening underneath. She still did what she did, and it's wow. That will be remembered in the history books. I'm not saying like her or hate her. I'm not speaking about her as a politician. I'm just saying what she did as a politician.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think I agree. The Take Back Alberta thing is something we really need to be cautious about and paying attention to, and I'm sure she is. However, I do owe a few friends a steak dinner cooked at my house because I was like, there's no way that Danielle Smith is going to win this 6 months prior to it. Yeah. And then obviously she crushed it. And then I have to give her credit as well, too. I think she's leading with maturity. Like Doug Griffiths, for example, the new CEO at the Chamber, he obviously supported the NDP.
Yeah, on this show.
Really supported the NDP. He comes in as the leader of the Chamber. The business community is like, oh, this is going to go well. And Danielle Smith gives him a big hug on stage, and he apologizes, and she's like, this is going to be great. We're going to work together, and let's go. Like bygones be bygones. Let's go. Let's do this.
But people that know
that's not a Jason Kenney thing.
Danielle anymore. That is the opposite of Jason Kenney.
Well, I mean, you're the shining example.
I'm the shining example. KO. I mean, people. I didn't mention it in
rounds.
your introduction, but you're the former president of the Progressive Conservative Association of Alberta, like of the party. You were the president, and you dealt with a lot of bullshit. And I don't know how much you want to talk about it publicly, but you were targeted.
So many good stories.
It was brutal.
It was frightening at times. Lots of death threats at times. It was terrible.
Have we ever talked about the investigation results?
No. We'll do that one day.
No, I think today is a perfect time to talk about that.
I'm not deep enough in the mimosas yet, but again,
Sarah, would you top her up?
Yeah, but and it speaks to, that's how I know how hard politics is at the grassroots level. Organizing, it's not easy, and people who sit and say, "Oh, it was easy. Any conservative runs, they win." That's not truly how it happens. There's so many forces at play, so many folks you need to deal with. The province is a big province. The south and the north are very different. Cities are different. So for what she did, again, I just think it's a huge political story. And I think she reminds me a lot of Klein in the way, I think she's here for a long time if she wants to be. And that's, people are like, oh, she's gone next year, the year after that, the caucus will dump her. I'm like, I actually don't think so. We'll see.
I mean, in May, I said we collectively underestimate Danielle Smith at our peril. I think that holds. Like, things don't seem to stick to her. And she zigs when other politicians would zag. I see her not doing things, there's conventional wisdom in politics, and she's not beholden to it. And it comes off sometimes as a little bit wonky, but I don't think I think that she has a sense of what the people across Alberta want to hear. It may not be what the people in Edmonton want to hear, but I don't think it can be underestimated.
Yeah, she's gonna have to find a way. When you use the words "take back" now, I mean it's so or make something great. But she's gonna have to find a way to take back her party, and that starts with taking back the board, and that's not something that a premier or party leader can do. That right, KO? You know more about this than any of us. About although I mean, let me say all three of you have extensive political.
This
experience.
is how we know each other.
But organizing, like let's talk about the roadmap here. Like take back Alberta. David Parker started taking big swipes at me on Twitter the other day, all of a sudden out of nowhere. I'm like, this guy must be having a slow day or something to go at it. But very boastful, very arrogant, this guy. But he is doing what he said he was going to do, and that is control the board of the party that has formed Alberta's government. Now he says he's coming for school boards across the province. So for the thousands and thousands of Conservative members that are regular, normal people that see all human beings as equal, that just want a Conservative government but don't want it run or influenced by lunacy, how do you get your board back? How do you get your party back? It's just a lot of hard work, right?
When you're premier, though, the premier's office, the buck stops at the premier's office. So the party... It matters.
So are you giving David too much credit?
I do. I personally do.
I don't.
I do.
I absolutely don't.
I personally do.
Well,
I think it's
Catherine,
something.
you sat there and watched Jason Kenney with like
but
30 people.
We didn't have the premier's office. That was the difference. We were in they were like third place party. It wasn't the same. The premier's office has a lot more power. I'm
Okay.
not saying it's
Fine.
I'm not saying it's, but I don't think I'm not as nervous as I would be. I just not as nervous, but it does concern me. Talking about school boards, and it should be a wake up call for any listener who cares about politics in this province.
Can we just
when
say-
you don't pay attention, things happen and people organize.
Let me interrupt for a second. I want to interrupt. Sorry, Sarah, and then I'll hand it right back because I want to address this. Mr. Dad in the live chat says this Danielle Smith love fest is making me barf. Like,
We're
is
not-
this
it's
a
not
is
a-
it a love fest
I
or
don't
is
know
it
if we're
just
just
calling a spade a
admiring
spade?
the ability.
I'm
like-
nonpartisan. I don't have
This
a
is
dog in
this
this
is
fight.
just
I am
analyzing
not.
what
Yeah,
she
she
did,
did.
how she
Yeah.
did it, and what she might keep doing.
From some people
Yeah,
who
this-
have volunteered
like-
thousands of hours trying to do
Thousands
the
and
exact
thousands of
same thing
hours.
to the cost of our lives and our family and our bank
Sure.
accounts.
Yes.
So everyone thinks that organizing in an election or for an election is super easy, but when you and I bring this up because people think, oh, you can just organize school board slates, but you need candidates and you need volunteers and you need donors. And if you multiply that across how many school boards there are in the province of Alberta, in the separate schools and the public schools and the francophone schools, and then how much you would like if you start to multiply, you see very easily how difficult it is just to organize on school boards. I know that there's been talk about municipalities as well, and when you start talking about all the city councilors and all the mayors and all the there's like over 300 municipalities in Alberta alone. So when you multiply that out, the amount of resources and organizing capacity you would need is just not, it doesn't exist in Canada. It barely exists in the United
There's
States.
so few votes that it's not that hard. Like if you just have a small template, you just multiply
I feel
them.
like you forget so easily what we went through when
She
you
was
were the
tough.
president, and literally Jason Kenney would show up with 20 people, 27 people, and he would take over a riding. Like it doesn't take a lot
5
of people. And that's what I want to say to anyone listening. When we talk about organizing, let's dumb it down.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that people win elections because of money. Even the money people are like, I'm going to give money, we're going to win. That is literally not how it works. You need to show up and you need to vote. So if you think your school board is being taken over, or you think there's chaos in your municipality and someone's like, can you come to this? It literally takes 1 or 12 people.
Yeah, it's
You
not
do
much.
make a difference. And just by showing up to make your vote matters so much right now. And I do think we should especially pay attention in municipalities as well. Like it's interesting to me. We're seeing so much chaos, whether it's, sorry, Sarah, Councillor Rice or, Chestermere being fired. We have the woman in Devon who was in jail. She's an elected official. And now, yes, that you can't get rid of these politicians who are maybe going a little bit sideways. Like there's no real mechanism. Of course, there's the recall legislation, which is like almost impossible to do with the hand printed signatures. But there's a lot of chaos happening around the province. And let's not just think the chaos is happening for nothing. I think that there is a really concerted effort of people who know how to organize and know how to change things. The federal Conservatives are really good,
And
as
they're
we
really
saw
good.
with
But
Jason
speaking
Kenney.
of organizing, where are the NDP and
Yeah, where are
it's
they?
It's not a love fest for the premier, but there's a real she is formidable. So you need to start organizing now for that election. It's several years away, but it's close if you're a political organizer. And if they're going to pick a new leader, let's get on with it. Let's get on with that business.
But,
What does
yes,
Ironworker say?
the-
Is he happy now?
Yeah. You know what? And Ironwood Workman, who I love the handle, by the way,
love
did
that.
confirm in the chat, said it is my first time here, so I want to extend a very warm welcome.
Let's
And
cheers
then-
to him.
Well, let's
Or
cheers to
them.
Ironwood Workman. Yeah, we don't know.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
so cheers,
We have
Ironwood.
no orange
Cheers,
juice
Ironwood.
in
That's
it.
for you. And Ironwood went on to say, sounds like to me to be kind of like a common sense person, says if we could only get people like Quick Dick McDick in office, Canada might be normal again. I like normal. Ironwood, I want to let you know that if you go back in our archives to October 25th of 2022, so it was a ways ago, it was 14 months ago, Quick Dick McDick made his debut on Real Talk. We had a fabulous conversation. That's October 25th of 2022. You want to look for that episode. And I'm happy to tell you that he followed that up with an off-the-record, off-camera, in-studio visit. We got into the beer fridge here when Quick Dick was in Edmonton. So we had a lot of fun there.
He
he
was
is
here
a
that night,
beauty.
yeah.
And not only is he a beauty, Not everybody would love his brand of politics.
No.
That's totally fine. I personally think most of the stuff he argues is bang on. But he's a genius on building audience.
Yes.
That guy is one of Canada's most popular YouTubers, and he's obviously found a way to tap into how people feel about politics. So I consider him a personal friend, and it was great to have him on the show. We're going to talk international politics. We'll talk Donald Trump in just a quick second, plus other news stories. We haven't even talked about the lost and missing submarine. I mean, does anybody remember that this year? That was this year. But first, I want to recognize, as we present here our final episode of the year, some of the family-owned businesses, just absolute legends, these beauties. We talk about people we're grateful for around this holiday season. The Mansma family, personal friends of ours, and they're manufacturing and delivering, making available the best quality raw dog and cat food in the province of Alberta, with weekly delivery to Metro Calgary and Edmonton areas. They'll also stop off in Central Alberta for you if you need quality raw food that we have fed our pets, Moses and Monroe, our beautiful dogs, long before we were in a business relationship with Grand Dog. So we've seen the benefits of this. Monroe's coat is shinier than ever. Moses has had some joint pain through his life, and they've helped us with supplements, and his food help manage that. Plus, they've got great resources on feeding your cats raw food as well. Cats aren't designed to be on a plant-based diet. Cats don't need a whole bunch of carbohydrates, but kibble is full of that stuff. One of their blog posts will teach you how to transition your cat onto a raw diet. You can learn more at granddog.ca. Don't forget the promo code REALTALK takes 10% off your first-time order. Another family-owned business we're really proud to partner with is Eden Landscaping. I've showed you, of course, the finished project in past episodes, what Eden Landscaping was able to do to bring our outdoor space to life, our backyard. We saved up. We had a plan for a lot of years, and finally we were able to bring them in, and the transformation was unbelievable. You can check out my wife's reels at Carrie Skelton on Instagram if you want to see that. Mike and his team are about so much more than what they did just for us. We got a new stone patio, beautiful fire pit. We got that artificial turf, which we love, but they also do retaining walls and water features, outdoor kitchens like the one that Johnny dreams of having one day, that outdoor pizza oven. Johnny, I know you just can't wait. Put those pennies away, pal, and when you're ready, let Mike and his team know that you'd like a free consultation. You'll find them online at landscapeedmonton.ca. And we'll also give a big shout out to the team that built this beautiful studio for us. They came in, it didn't look anything like this. There was evidence of a water leak. We couldn't have that happening. Plus, the building's 110 years old, so there's like no straight lines. But it didn't matter to the team at Complete Care Restoration. Watching them bring a project from plan to handing the keys over to us was unbelievable. They help people that are in nightmare scenarios, fire damage, flood damage. You found mold or asbestos? Don't do that on your own. You're going to want to get in touch with the team at Complete Care Restoration. You find them online at completecarerestoration.ca. Sarah Hamilton, Jenny Adams, and Katherine O'Neill hanging out with us. You don't have to be quiet and silent. I know you're acting like you're on a real-life TV set. Sarah's like making eye contact with her, like, you want to top up on your mimosa? But yeah, there you go. We're going to kill this Magnum before the hour's done.
Yeah, I'll take another.
Yeah, Johnny, take another there as well. KO, why don't we get you to hit lead off on this one? It's looking, and there's still a lot of runway, and there's a lot of things that could happen, and there's a lot of different angles to approach the story, but it looks like the former president of the United States could also be the next president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Yeah, so I'm looking ahead to 2024, and I think that the news story that I'm watching is what that election and what's happening. And, that Colorado Supreme Court decision this week, I think it was this week. Wow, the news cycle goes fast. About saying he can't be on the ballot in that state. So it looks like it's going to go across the states. Other states will look for that this will go all the way to the Supreme Court. In the new year is really troubling. And I think we're setting up for a powder keg of all powder kegs heading into that November election. We're going to see more action in the courtroom than on the campaign trail when it comes to the election of Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, the division that just it's unreal what is happening. And I know that Sarah just came back from the U.S. and you're already feeling
like a few hours ago.
Yeah, like a couple of hours ago. Yeah. But that story it's such a global story, because if he becomes president again, everybody's affected by that. And it's also just the way of becoming president is going to be just rip that already shredded country apart, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And something that is my pet peeve across the Western world right now is that we are seeing the erosion of the values of liberal democracy, and one of those things is a free and independent justice system.
Sarah's the smart one in our group chat. Carry on.
But also, like, you know, we're seeing the erosion of journalism, the erosion of news and truth, to what you said earlier. But the political interference in the justice system and of the justice system is something that I think is hugely, hugely problematic. And Trump is also problematic. I mean, he's openly said that I want to say he's going to overthrow the government, but he attempted a coup.
Well, Johnny, do we have that clip ready? I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Yeah. Do we have that clip ready? So have a listen to this. This is Trump just talking about the DOJ and police officers. This is just like a week ago. Let's roll it. This is wild stuff.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah. I like put you on the spot there, but so you'll hear this in just a quick second. This is Donald Trump. I think it was in New Hampshire. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. Give me the thumbs up when we're ready to rock on it. But here's Trump.
Watch you. We will restore law and order to our communities, and I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control, fake, crooked prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, in reverse enforcement of the law. I am also going to indemnify all police officers. This is a big thing, and it's a brand new thing, and I think it's so important. I'm going to indemnify through the federal government all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong actions against crime.
It's racism in reverse.
Racism in reverse. But, I mean, Jenny, your jaw just hit the floor.
All of our faces watching this. And in fairness, I have not had a second to pay attention to the news this month. It's been nuts. But it just gets
so
scarier
indemnifying
and
a person means to compensate them for losses. Which,
sure.
you're basically talking about the guy that murdered George Floyd.
I was just thinking that. Like, I was literally just thinking that. It is...
I mean, the U.S. also has a very complex and somewhat immature police police governance system. I don't by any stretch think Canada is perfect, but we have a pretty linear police oversight mechanism across the country. The U.S. does not have that. It has over 10,000 police services. Officers they do not have uniform training. They are paid anywhere from $30,000 a year to $60,000 a year. They often have to procure their own equipment. You have in my opinion, as someone who is coming off the police commission in 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days. You have an enormous structural problem in how law enforcement exists in the United States. But that does not, like, indemnification is not the solution to better law enforcement, to a more transparent justice system. And in fact, what the past and perhaps future president of the United States is talking about is the political interference. Mm-hmm. So not allowing something that's so important, which is discretion, the discretion of the individual, whether it's police officers or prosecutors, to pursue justice. And I think all the way up to the Supreme Court, we are seeing politicization. And what that means is people do not trust the justice system. It's already very complex. It's already extremely hard to understand. Even in Canada, in the US, it's almost impossible. People do not need to have less faith in the justice system.
Mm.
Well, we had that almost exact conversation in our group chat yesterday about the encampments. But you have to think, how did we get to this point? Like, the left isn't off the hook here. Like, there are people, half of the country, half of the country voted for Donald Trump last time and believed the things that he's saying. My family, I know people who are like, yep, I agree with everything that he's saying. We live in our little echo chamber in Edmonton. But he's resonating with people over and over and over again. Totally. And he's using talking points. Is he actually going to fucking do this? Who knows,
believe
right?
what he says.
I would say believe
everything he says, he does. So everybody should, like, those words make me more frightened because he was saying those words before January 6th and then he did it. And so now it's like, wow, this is not a person.
But can Joe Biden get out of the way? Like,
I
does
know,
Joe Biden
Joe
not,
Bi-
like, how selfish is that man?
But this is
Did you just call him a prick?
No. I was going to say person because you can't say man and woman anymore. So,
okay. I was like, wow.
Wow, just give me a little more champagne. No, that is not part of my language. I did drop the F-bomb.
So U.S. politics is so complex. The election's going to come down to a couple million voters.
Yes.
The stay home factor on both the Republican and Democrat side is going to be enormous. You have states in flux, Arizona being one of them. And then the polling shows, and this is going to be, I think, really hard for a lot of Canadians to hear. The polling shows that there are no more winnable candidates for the Republicans than Donald Trump, and that there probably are not more winnable candidates for the Democrats than Joe Biden. And yet everybody's looking at it and saying, that's not my person.
Isn't that just a sign of the fall of the Roman Empire, though? This is 2 elections in a row. They're running people over their 80s, like they're both over 80, right?
Yeah, Trump's not quite.
He's almost in his 80s. But 2, really? That's what your
Trump's
leader,
77.
that's the pinnacle of leadership in your country? This is what you have to offer?
Wasn't The Rock, didn't he get offered
Who, The Rock?
The Rock, yeah, the Republicans reached out to him.
But
that'd
what
be
is
great.
that?
Yeah, it's throwing.
I mean, if we're talking about tight black t-shirts.
I mean, the best would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's just not possible.
But he's going to. Why do you think he did that, Doc?
But he's not American. He's not American.
I know he can't. They'd have to change the
true,
Constitution.
true,
but
true,
Trump would be defeated by Schwarzenegger,
at least,
and
they
Schwarzenegger
could battle
would be
it out.
he'd be unbelievable.
He would be. At least he seems like he has some
But
experience.
it's throwing stuff at the wall right now.
Even
is
my
that
suggestion
it?
is
But you know what I
stupid.
mean? As far as this is the United States of America, and they're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And it's not. This is not leadership. This is not. No one's inspired by anything you're watching. It's 2 elections where we're going to be holding our breath, and this is not boding well for their political future as the largest country, the power of our world.
I did so I was in Nebraska for an exchange for a week in September, and I want to. It was a really cool program, the American Council of Young Political Leaders. But
she is our nerd.
Name dropper.
What a nerd.
I think that I don't think that this is just us from the outside looking in. Something I got on the ground in Nebraska was people saying, you can't get anything done federally. We actually need our state and local governments to step up, because by the time you hit the big show in Washington, things aren't happening. And there was, whether you were a conservative or a liberal, a Republican or a Democrat, this sense of despair about the future of the country in Washington was so palpable.
Yeah.
And that's, I agree with you, Catherine. It brings you to that fall of the Roman Empire type thinking. But you also, I would say, you say 2 elections in a row. I say 3 elections in a row. Hillary was an institutional candidate.
Yes.
And what you have in the U.S., and I think we have to take this as a lesson for Canada, is you have this political class that you start to work your way through as a school board trustee or a city councilor or on many of the elected offices, and you work your way up to state and federal offices. And so you have a career as a politician. And that I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy for democracy. I don't think it's healthy as an individual to spend your whole life in politics. And I don't think it's healthy for government.
Can I bring this home? Do you think
Are you running for mayor?
Are you running for mayor?
Is this your tee up to your campaign announcement?
Are you announcing right now? People, boy, we did not agree. You did not ask me to do this, but on sort of principle,
give us a few drinks.
Wouldn't make you too uncomfortable on the round table. But this next mayoral election in Edmonton is going to be wide open. Would you at least agree that? Would you acknowledge that?
Oh yeah,
it's a wide open race.
It's wide open.
I don't know that the incumbent is guaranteed to. I would say that the incumbent is definitely not guaranteed. I didn't say he's guaranteed not to win, but I say he's not guaranteed to win. And he's not guaranteed to run. You're right, KO. You're right.
I don't think we know.
Hey, here's a story that's not going to make anybody feel any better. I'll give credit to Alana Smith. This is just breaking, as we're talking. This story out just this morning. Alana Smith with the Globe and Mail. A Freedom of Information request shows internal government documents. The Alberta government telling its health authority to remove the words influenza, and COVID from advertising for Alberta's fall immunization campaign, and to wait before communicating with the public amid warnings that respiratory illnesses were rising. There's a story for you. Do you think an outside candidate, outside politics, could be the next leader of Alberta's NDP?
No.
I don't think the party would pick someone out from outside like that. That's
Those,
not a party.
they're just chomping at the bit to be leaders of that party.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the next leader of the Alberta NDP? Jenny?
Racky.
Racky.
I think it's Sarah Hoffman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, there you go. Let's take a look at some of the stories through the year that did not maybe sort of satiate the politicos and the serious news watchers, but it doesn't mean that they weren't news. The world watched as this ill-fated submarine, I mean, everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't need to get into the details, but basically went down and imploded, killing everybody on board. Kind of obviously a very sad story, but also a lot of people sort of seem to like take pleasure in it in a weird way because it was like billionaires on board, and it was just a weird story all around. There was the dominance of Taylor Swift, the biggest celebrity in the world by far. She's the biggest name in the NFL right now because of who she's dating. And then there was, the summer box office smashes, the two of them. What did they call it? Barbenhopper?
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. Yeah.
Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Oppenheimer and
Good.
Barbie,
Yeah.
obviously.
This
So
is so
these were kind of like
good.
sort of the more fun stories of the year. Which one jumps out at you?
Well, I'm not a huge movie person, but I took my boys and they're like, ugh. And I'm like, actually, it was so good.
You like Barbie?
I like Barbie, but the shipwreck or the submarine was so stressful. Like, I didn't take pleasure in it. I was just so stressed for that week.
Yeah.
Like, it was
It was the
awful.
knocking, the stories of hearing knocking.
Yeah.
Like at the bottom of the ocean.
Which we now know is not a thing,
It was not
right?
a thing, but it was terrifying. Like
Yeah.
to think about people sitting at the bottom of the ocean, like knocking for their life. Like,
Yeah.
ugh. Yeah.
This is,
I
hope we're
follow
not
the
leaving
Roman
it on
Empire
this.
though. Like again, like
Yeah.
the submarine story is like follow the Roman Empire. Like it's just so ridiculous. But
What's most ridiculous about it to you?
just because like that's what you're spending your money on. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like in every TV show. Like, send some
Again.
rich people to the moon and they blow up.
Ridiculous.
Send
Yeah,
them
like
to
this
the bottom of the
moon
ocean,
thing.
they blow up.
So Taylor Swift though, I think that story is what a story of 2023. She's not even at the height of her powers. This woman is still at 33. She's still quite young. Leading pop singer, leading songwriter, like dates in it, like NFL, like there's nothing she changes. She's a weather system when she goes into a city. The economic potential that she brings to any event she comes to, I think, so incredible to watch that. And I don't think because so few things in our society tie us all together, it's hard to see common things, and that is just incredible to see what she has achieved at such a young age, and she's not even there at the height of her powers.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out, by the way, random comment, but Anna Simmons, who shot us $28 on the super chat. Anna, absolutely amazing.
Anna.
We so appreciate you. Here's
like
to
a pledge drive.
Anna, very happy holidays to you. We sure thank you for that. I know that some people, I saw Sylvia said, that's all you're going to talk about on health interference from the Alberta government. No, it's the end of the year wrap up. Yeah. Obviously, we'll hit the ground running again in January and pick up on all these stories. Somebody said that's Danielle Smith. I would suggest that's probably not Danielle Smith. That's Rob Anderson, her advisor. But I don't know for a fact.
Buck stops with her.
But
it's still terrible.
Of course it does.
It's terrible.
But I've said this many times. I think Danielle Smith's one of the great things about her is that she is willing to say, she has sat in this chair in this studio many times when the previous premier wouldn't get within 100. It was like we had a restraining order. Kenny would get nervous if we were within 100 meters of each other.
Was he at a Filipino opera?
It used to be. I actually used to take great pleasure in it. But Danielle doesn't give a shit if you're far right, far left. She will talk to you, and sometimes to her peril. Yeah. I would say on the flip side, the Tucker Carlson thing is fucked. But on the flip side, her Achilles heel is that I think sometimes she does take bad advice, and I do think, and maybe this means no more interviews for me, but I doubt it. I do think that the executive director of her office, Rob Anderson, former Wild Rose MLA, is a problem. Like if you look at this wind and solar moratorium, there's videos of him going back 2 years talking about how the solar industry drives him crazy. He's got like a personal vendetta against the solar industry, and so you start to look at how you think that advice that a political leader gets, not just her, but in this case we're talking about her, and how that translates into policy. That is a thing.
Yes.
And you got to surround. George W. Bush always said that he wanted to surround himself. People will joke and say it's not too difficult, but he always wanted to surround himself with people smarter than him. Right? That's I think the sign of a successful politician most times. Yeah. You got to have that leadership. You got to have the people skills that not everybody has, but you got to be getting good advice.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's a real question. Who in our group chat's going to be premier and who's going to be the chief of staff?
Oh, wow.
Jesperson and Sarah. Those are my picks.
But like which
For
order?
which one?
For
Premier
job?
and
Which
Sarah's
job?
chief of staff.
If I was
Sorry,
ever to
Harmon
be,
and JC, we didn't even consider
Harmon
either of you.
Candola would be a formidable, candidate for sure. If you would ever take the job, Jenny, I would hire you as my chief of staff.
I
was-
think
You're
actually
trying
I
to
would
get
hire
Jenny
you as
to
my
run.
chief of
Well,
staff.
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Although
But I would
I have
never.
my heart
but I
set
would
on
never,
Secretary of State.
But I would never be a chief of staff. Only
No,
because
Actually, I take that back. You
I
would
think
not
Front
be.
of the house.
No, I would be
No,
the
no.
worst.
He's front of the house
If
only.
I was your chief of staff, you'd be missing meetings.
We'd be here.
People would be like following up, like just following up on this email. We haven't heard from you for 11 days.
dead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Johnny Infamous.
Are you still
Putting
coming
you
to
on
the
the spot.
9:30 meeting?
Yeah.
You really have a 9:30? You shouldn't have. We have brunch
No,
coming up.
Sarah just made that
Yeah.
up.
Oh, okay.
Like
Your top, or like one of your top news stories of the year. What was a story in the last 12 months that like really resonated with you or caught your attention?
I think we've already hit on them all. I was
Yeah.
going to say like the housing crisis was number one for me because I'm in this boat. I'm a young
Yep.
married guy. We've only been married, a few years. Well, I don't want to say that. I'll get in trouble. 7 years. But like we're getting
Good
ready.
save.
We just moved back from BC, came on board with you. We're starting to look at homes and everything's upside down for us right
Yeah.
now. But I will say in Alberta, I agree with Catherine. Like I remember there was a Maclean's article that said the unsteady story of Danielle Smith or something. But like I think if you love her or hate her, it's just amazing to watch because she defies the odds. And then what's going to be interesting, though, is just as she gets deeper into her tenure, whether these things she keeps saying actually come to fruition. Because right now, not a lot has. Like fixing the healthcare system in like 3 months, nothing's really happened.
3 months.
Didn't she say something like that?
Yeah, she
90,
did.
90
She did.
days, right?
Just
So,
nothing, 3
but
months.
you know as well as I do, Ryan, when she's in here, she's very intelligent. So I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure she has a plan, and I'm
And
sure
confident.
she is
Very
gonna.
confident.
She is gonna make things happen.
Great with people.
But so
great in
far,
Burgundy.
not a lot has happened, right? And the
The
more
love
that
fest continues.
the more that nothing happens, the more wide open she is to criticism, which she already is, right? So
Yeah, we've got an interesting comment here from Justin in our chat who says the amount of influence that Taylor Swift wields is incredible.
And that's
He
why we're not
says-
talking bad about her because
Yeah,
we know the
we're
Swifties
too
will get
scared.
on this,
Yeah.
but they'll bury us.
She'll get us kicked off Spotify, and then what? But Justin says Taylor Swift single-handedly influenced some state elections
Yeah.
when she waded into politics a few
Totally,
years
she
back.
would,
I don't know
yeah.
if you guys saw this. This was back at the end of
Americana.
September of this year, but USA Today with a big feature. Taylor Swift has power to swing the presidential election. What if nothing else matters?
Well, I mean, decisions are made by those who show up, right? And she's driving voter turnout. Back to the beginning of the conversation, it's true in the United States. It's even more true in Canada. It's exceptionally true in Alberta, where you have, politicians or elected officials winning by double-digit numbers. If that kind of influence, if someone can influence that kind of turnout, like it shows you how important it is.
Yeah. Darren in the chat says Jespo respects expert opinions. That would already be a massive improvement. There you go. Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different as we wrap up with this is our weekly tradition, of course, through the year, courtesy of our friends at the Dairy Queens of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. A chance typically for me to read emails from Real Talkers that have something to say that need to blow off a little steam. But I've given you three a bit of a heads up, a tiny little heads up, like less than 12 hours, but to maybe come up with a gripe or something that's driving you nuts to debut it on the Flamethrower. Are all three of you ready? Because we're about to kickstart this thing, and once the plane's in the air, that's it. All three of you ready? Okay, you look good to go. Friends, you know how this goes. Typically, it's on a Friday, but today it's on a Thursday. This is a chance for you to get real, to bring the heat, to say what needs to be said. We want to hear it, right? We want you to bring us your hot takes. It's the Flamethrower, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Sarah Hamilton, what's driving you crazy? What are you firing up your flamethrower for?
You know, there's a lot of things that make my blood boil, and I made a list of them. But then
Is this how calm you are when things make your blood boil?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, because then I got yet another job posting for someone looking for somebody with like 10 years of experience, and they want to pay them $20 an hour.
Oh.
And of all, like, I'm speechless. It makes me so angry.
Are you looking for a new job?
I'm not. Okay, this is.
Did you apply?
I did not. Although, we could talk about ROI there, but over the year, I keep getting job postings where it's like someone's looking for an assistant, an executive assistant.
Oh my God,
and
yes!
And I need somebody with 10 years of experience, work in a political context. I need somebody who knows
Say the
everyone and
names.
everything.
No, don't say the names.
I don't want to name it and shame it yet,
Okay,
but
right.
it's happened multiple times.
multiple times.
And at a time when we're talking about affordability and the rising cost of living, to offer someone $20 to $25 an hour for what I would say is an exceptional amount of experience and competency is mind-blowing.
For the
to me.
opportunity to
Like,
take my laundry to the dry cleaning.
yeah, like
It's not me, by the way, okay?
No.
I'm not hiring these
It
people.
is Jenny.
like so union involvement is going up. Like, young people are interested in unions. Young people are interested again in organized labor. I think that's a really fascinating trend. I don't think that's going away. But like, the fact that we can't pay, like, we're not willing to pay people what they're worth to do a job that requires skill is a huge oversight. And we saw it 3 years ago on people are trying to grow their own food. Like, farming isn't skilled labor. It is incredibly skilled labor. That we think communications and being an executive assistant or something is not something that someone develops skills and competency for is shameful.
Shameful.
Yeah.
Get off your wallets.
Get off your wallets. Actually, frick. You're going to tell me to get off my wallet. But she brought up the union. Can I bring up
You
the
gotta
union?
talk louder.
Just kidding, Sarah. So, this is going to make me hugely
Can we
unpopular.
go behind the scenes on what's going on here?
No.
Yes. Can we?
absolutely
Can
not.
I just say that? Like, can I
Oh,
say
you can
it's
say,
fact? Like,
yeah.
you represent a union. The union is pressing city council, and so it's awesome to have the
It's
two of you
awesome.
talking about this around the Real Talk Roundtable, because
She
they're not
brought
even
it up.
they're
I
not
didn't
even
even bring
meeting
it
around
up.
the table at City Hall, but they're meeting around the table here at Real
I
Talk.
agree.
This is
People should be
without
paid what
prejudice.
they're worth.
Yeah.
So to elaborate on this, I am really annoyed, and you have to admit that I am generous. I am not generous, but the tip function everywhere I go is pissing
18
me
starts
off.
at 18.
No. It starts
And it
at
starts at
25%.
Where are
It
you
doesn't-
going?
You go to restaurants and they start at 25%, and it makes me so mad. And fine, a restaurant is a restaurant. Sure, you go get your hair cut. Absolutely. I go to the dry cleaner. I go to the coffee shop. They do this. Like, you go to these places, they literally grab something, put it on the table. And I'm not saying that the individuals who are working don't deserve a tip or a raise, but where's that money going?
Yeah.
To quote my 14-year-old yesterday, I want to know where all my dollars are going. Because when
You're raising them right.
when I worked in a restaurant, I wouldn't get all of that 15 or 20% tip. It got split everywhere. So where is all this money going? And to add a 25 or 30% surcharge on everything in life, and if you don't tip, you feel so guilty. It really annoys me.
Let
We
me
need to
ask
go
you,
back.
where is an establishment, or what is an industry, or what is a place that should not be asking for a tip?
Anything that has to do
Anything
with
with
medical
coffee.
services,
Like coffee?
coffee, fast food.
Baristas deserve a tip, I think. Yeah, I do. I do.
it
As a
takes-
former barista,
Yeah, okay.
I do
Yeah.
believe that baristas
but-
deserve a tip.
But then where does it, like, at Christmas time, I love to, like, mow at the car wash. If you know Bubbles, we all have the same car wash boyfriend, Mo. He is amazing. I'm going to bring him a Christmas gift. Yes, we do.
I
We
wash
do.
my own car.
It's like, I don't wash my car.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
But where does it change? Like, I love giving a tip and something for, like, thank you for everything that you've done, or thank you for the hard work that you've done. And now it's just expected.
It's
and it drives me
expected.
crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. But you know who deserves a tip? The
Talk show hosts.
Talk show hosts. The people who sell you your clothes. There's no tip function when you go to a retail store, and I think if someone takes the time and effort, because
Don't they
not
get
everybody
They get commission.
No.
Yeah, they
If
do.
you work at
Not
Reitman's,
always,
you
yeah.
don't get commission. If
Yeah.
you work at Quebec, you don't get commission.
But you have sales
opened up
targets.
a-
So
You
Okay.
sure,
lose your
but what is
job.
that?
Yeah.
So you don't lose your job.
You get a
Yeah.
discount.
So
I
anyway,
don't
I
think
know I'm
that's
going to
fair.
hell because
Shoddy.
it's Christmas.
Flame.
You do get a
Merry
discount.
Christmas. You get to
Hey,
keep your job.
I know you can't give your
That's
kids
not great
Christmas
either.
presents this year, but you did get a discount.
Yeah, but that's not fair. Anyway,
I'm not laughing at that,
pay your
by the
people
way.
more.
KO.
Okay, with apologies to DQ, I want to give a love thrower today, instead of a flamethrower.
I don't think they'll mind. They're a wonderful
I became
family-owned
a
business.
mother 13 years ago today at sunset. Lauren Claire O'Neill turns 13 today. She's a teenager.
Oh, happy
She is the
birthday,
love
Lauren.
of my life. And
Wonderful.
It's a really special day because it's so close to Christmas. So I want to send all my love to Lauren Claire O'Neill, who turns 13 today.
Okay,
That's
but what are you mad
amazing.
about?
Now, what are you
'Cause,
mad
happy
about?
birthday.
You know, one thing. Okay, I was singing that as well.
Yeah, like enough of
Where
that.
are the okay? And this is again nonpartisan. Where are the liberals? Like the federal liberals this year? What is happening to that party? I was in
Where's
Ottawa.
Randy Boissonneau?
I was in Ottawa in October. I couldn't believe the lack of energy on the liberal side of when I was watching QP. And like, this is weird. And it speaks to the fact, like, what is happening? Like, at least bring some fight to the next year and what's coming and some, I don't know, the energy to what's happening in this country. There's some really huge issues happening and there's nothing. It just doesn't feel like there's any energy leadership on that side of the table. So 2024, I'm looking to see if we see something happen.
This is a bit of a different flamethrower because usually I'm just blasting through it at full volume and I'm not even looking at the live chat. But I just want to say, like, a whole bunch of Real Talkers are wishing your daughter a very happy birthday, which is
I
awesome.
got a flamethrower.
You got to know. I'm coming to you in just a second. But Justin says, as a former barista, I don't think they need to be tipped, which is interesting. As somebody else said,
Well,
anytime
they
I
cost
need to,
a lot.
They say anytime I need to go up to the counter to pick up my own food, I don't feel guilty for not tipping at all. Johnny, what's your flamethrower?
Baristas endure the most douchery of
Baristas
any.
100% deserve
The
tips.
most douchery?
Yes.
The barista. The
Maybe
most
not- maybe
douchery.
not
I'm
the
sorry.
most. Maybe not the
Let's
most, but they're
come
like
up
top
with
10.
a list.
Top 10.
There's
And
a
I'll
lot
tell
of
you why.
douchery.
I'll
Okay.
tell you
Okay.
why.
Go to
Here
a
he
restaurant
goes.
with Katherine O'Neill, and you will.
Oh, fighting word. I ordered coffee. That's all I ordered.
Johnny, what are you pissed off about?
You know why they deal with it the most? Because they see people before they're caffeined up.
100%.
And that's
Yeah.
the worst
Fair,
state
fair,
people
fair,
can be in. I want people to stop doing this on TikTok. Stop pranking your spouse.
Yeah.
If I put a bucket of water over a door and poured it on my wife as she was coming out of the bedroom in the morning to get
You would
ready,
be here right
if I threw a spider at her as she was coming down the stairs and she fell and broke her, nobody thinks this is cute. It's the most cringe thing I've ever seen.
Yes!
And I hate it. And also, I say this every year. Take your fucking grocery cart back inside the save-on when you're done, or at least take it to the little
The Friesen
cubby.
brothers, yeah.
Okay?
The Friesen brothers, yeah.
Who are
Yeah.
these people leaving carts in the
I
middle
totally
of parking
leave
lots?
my cart at the front door.
Okay,
Jenny
Johnny,
Adams.
tell the band to circle it back again because
perfect.
I know, but I got
It's
something I got to
perfect.
get
Oh,
off my chest.
what do you
I
have
got
to
to get
say,
this off
Ryan?
my chest. Well, I just was dreaming yesterday. I was trying to dream up a perfect flamethrower, and there I am standing in line, and here it goes as the band brings me in. I would like to give a special shout out to the 22, 23-year-old individual that was in front of me at the sport shop yesterday, as about 30 people stood behind us in line with their stocking stuffers, the gifts that their kids had asked for, arms full of gifts to shop local and support the business. And what did you choose to do on December 20th? Return your entire hockey bag. This guy's going on about how the elbow pads don't fit. He doesn't like the shoulder pads. He just can't get the skates to feel good on his feet. The hockey pads. Sir, do you have a receipt? I don't have a receipt. Sir, some of this stuff looks old. Yeah, well, like I said, I had to wear it a few times. We're going to have to get a manager. Please get the manager. One till in operation. One employee working that till. And you choose 5 days before Christmas. Nay, 4 days before Christmas Eve to return $1,000 of sporting equipment without a receipt. What the hell are you doing? And who raised you? It took everything I had not to say something, but it gave me about 12 hours to let it bottle up inside and unload it to 15,000 people on this season-ending episode of Real Talk. So whoever you are, I hope this finds you, and I hope in 2024 you come correct. Friends, The Flamethrower is presented by our friends at the Dairy Queens in Palisades, Nemeo, Newcastle, Westmount, and in Sherwood Park on Baseline Road. Wishing you all a very happy holiday season, a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. KO and Jenny and Sarah and Johnny, I love you all. To the real talkers that make this show happen, love you, maybe even a little bit more. And we'll see our patrons tomorrow at our annual Patrons Zoom holiday party. Make it a great holiday season, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you next year.